What's going on, guys? It's Beck, and today we get a brand new video, this time looking at Plug Power and the stock, because it's been kind of all over the place and a little bit of patterns repeating itself from another time when we had these kinds of similar moves. And the Plug is kind of doing pretty good in terms of how the stock's doing compared to the rest of the market. So right now we can see this is Plug Power's price chart. This is the recent moves, and it looks very similar to something that played out before. We see it crash down to this like 1367 level, had its little rally up here, didn't break this, fell all the way back down pretty rapidly, down to the bottom again. Another rally up, didn't quite get there, but ultimately did get there. We broke through and are now broke back down. But if we look back in Plug, you can see that we had this triple bottom type thing right here, where we still had, where it fell in here. We had it try and break, broke back down to the bottom level, didn't quite get there, back to the bottom, tried it again, back to the bottom, and then triple bottom here, and we just rallied up to $46.50. So it looks at least a little bit similar, where we fell in here, rallied up, fell back down, rallied, but not quite got there, had a little bit of correction to another rally to breaking up here. So what could be the next step? If we go back to this, it would be obviously coming back down to the bottom level before going up much more violently and faster than probably a lot of people expect. But right now, the market's in different conditions, obviously, so it wouldn't be too surprising to see it come back down to $13 here, depending on how the market reacts to things like Jerome Powell and the rate hikes, where it's basically a guarantee that we're getting a 75 basis point hike. And then if that's what the market's pricing in kind of now, because we got that news, I think you should be expecting that. And I think the market's expecting it mostly, but maybe not fully. And now we got like this news, it's saying like, we're going to do the 75 basis point. So the market might be reacting to that. We see all this red over here, so could be the reaction to that. I don't think that we would go all the way back down to here unless something crazy kept happening with a more than expected rate hike. If we get a 1% rate hike instead of the 75 basis points, then I could see this coming all the way back down pretty quickly, like it did around here, where we got the surprise increase in rates. But right now, it doesn't seem like there's much that would be able to push it down here. I mean, we can see, comparing Plug to like the S&P, we know we had the massive drop, and we just kind of been trading in this channel. But if we looked at something like the S&P, which is right here, and we can see the whole kind of year, it's just been down, and we've had this moves down into a rally, into a sell-off, into yet another rally, into a major sell-off, rally, sell-off, and we getting closer to today, where we kind of had this rally here. A lot of people are expecting the sell-off. We started to get it, but then we had another kind of mini rally. So maybe overall in the market's bottomed, and you know, for the short term, it can just be kind of choppy for the short term between not really going up too much or moving down too much, or having great days, great green days, and then red days following. I think that could be something happening as people are pricing in recession risks and energy costs, and people not being able to afford to buy things. You know, people are really buying necessities, and that's it. And the Fed is basically said they are going to crush demand. I think Jerome Powell came out and said, like, demand destruction is what they're after to control inflation. It's really their only tool. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them really go after this and kind of tighten too much. That's what the Fed does, is it loosens too much and it tightens too much. And that's where we get the cycles where massive runs up happen and then massive crashes because we over tighten, and then they have to loosen and you get massive runs up again. So we could be seeing kind of the beginning stages of that happening. But as for Plug here, had it is one of the top industrial gainers, while shipping stocks anchor among losers. So kind of like Plug in the industrial stocks and energy stocks, it was doing pretty well. You know, a lot of people look towards Plug as maybe the oil prices and getting really bad, and people could start to at least build out the infrastructure for hydrogen and eventually put hydrogen and oil in competition. that'll bring prices down. So a lot of people might be looking towards that. Right here, we see plug and energy related stock were among the top gainers for the week ending July 8th, while shipping stock led the decliners list among looming fears of recession as the Federal Reserve policymakers eye up to a 75 basis point rate hike at their next meeting to fight inflation. So we already know this is happening. We knew that, the Fed is going to fight inflation at all costs. They're probably going to overfight, especially like CPI readings are way lower than real inflation. So that's what they're fighting. But right now, I think we might see CPI start to come down. And with that, the Fed needs to see it come down consistently before they stop kind of tightening. And I think they're going to over tighten. And then eventually they're going to need to reverse course and start to flood the market with money again and loosen policy. So something to come out of this, and Plug will be able to, so far their balance sheet is strong. They have the money on hand to make it through at least the next 2 years to get to profitability and move forward in their company. The infrastructure is being built out. They're really moving in the right direction. So if the Fed loosens the monetary policy, it's going to be good for Plug and good for any stocks. Any assets are going to start to go up when they loosen monetary policy yet again, because they're going to have to. You can see right here, Plug Power had a plus 19.31% and took the #1 spot again after the 2 weeks. So that's last week, ending last week. It was a really good day or a week for Plug. We can see right here, it was an amazing kind of move up for Plug here. We had the last few days. This is like the last week here. Big moves up. If we go to the weekly candle, we can see it again. It was a massive week from $16 on the low, and it got all the way up to just over $20 on the high. It was a good move, and Plug is kind of, at least in this section here, if you look at weekly, it's kind of lower, higher lows and higher highs. So at least we're moving up in the right direction. You see down here, we had a $12.70 low, and then right here at $14 low, and then even if you want to count this, $16, and right here they're keeping this kind of trending up channel where it was low, then we got high up here, and then the low, higher low, we got another high, higher high. So at least Plug is moving in the right direction, at least on the charts. So also big things for Plug that's going to help is U.S. Lifting tariffs on Canadian solar products, and China mulling a $220 billion stimulus package to boost its economy. There's lots of problems going on in China right now with the banks possibly failing, people not being able to get their money out. And there's like a whole video I'm going to do on that stuff. But right now, $220 billion seems like not that much. I mean, China has over 1 billion people. $220 billion is... what are they going to give everyone like $10? I don't see how that's really a big stimulus package. I mean, even the U.S. stimulus package, where people still got screwed because that's why you have such rampant inflation, but it was trillions of dollars that they had to do, not 220 billion. So don't know exactly how this is going to help, but maybe it's going to do something. But lifting tariffs on Canadian solar products is going to be good for Plug, and these like green energy stocks kind of bring in more hope into the market, where it's like these green energy stocks can be able to benefit from governments not being as taxing on them or going after them as much as maybe other types of energy. And if we're going to look at the overall kind of market and economy that we're in, the world trade shows a slightly positive trend in June, but significant congestion and high transportation costs and resulting supply chain woes dampen the exchange of goods. And that's going to affect the entire market. If the world market isn't on the same page and isn't going through, working how it's been working for the past decade plus, then you're going to have problems, and people aren't going to be able to ship the goods they need. These companies aren't be able to get things made that need to get made. And the just-in-time kind of supply that stores have been used to are breaking now as they stocked up on things that they thought they were going to need, but the recession fears means that this inventory they have is not worth what they thought it was going to be worth because people aren't buying it, and it's just going to affect the entire market. And we've seen that with the S&P 500, where it's just every single time if there's a rally, we've seen it get sold off. And the fears, we have rallies and sell-offs, the fears are pushing this. So in that sense, even Plug, I mean, we had the massive drop right here, but kind of just trading in this range, all while the S&P is going through a downward momentum. This is kind of holding up pretty good. It's not dropping below this $13 level, and it's even trying to make moves up higher than that. So even in these massively red days, the S&P can get beat down. The giant companies are doing pretty good. Like Apple, I don't even think is in bear market yet, but right now, even Plug it's holding up pretty good. So Plug is looking pretty good as a stock, just kind of hovering in this range, trying to break out. And if it could break out, we could see it have a nice, pretty big move up to like $23 and just kind of increasing that forward momentum, keeping things going up. Depends a lot on the rest of the market. And eventually, when the Fed has to turn on monetary policy, it will be the best time for every asset on the planet. And, you know, Plug could be a big beneficiary of that because they're heading into profitability, get people more excited. And we could probably see massive rallies in price with loose monetary policy and Plug becoming profitable. It's going to be big milestones for them. That's going to do this for this video, guys. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe when we're to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next